Financial Modeling, Topic 6, Section 3, an Introduction to Macros, also known as subroutines. So a function is used to make calculations and return a value, and that's what we've been building this entire time using, or this course, using VBA to write functions that calculate different values or a range of values like covariance matrices. Now, macro is also VBA programming. It's also inserted into modules. However, a macro is not simply made to calculate a value. It's used in some way to automate a task. For example, you can copy a value or formula from one cell to another one. You could change formats. You can display messages in your worksheet. So you can do all kinds of things with macros. Now, macros are also called subroutines. They're written in modules. However, when you write a subroutine or macro, you don't start with the word function. You start with the word sub. You give it any name, and then you do an open and close. And when you do an open and close, that tells Excel and VBA that this is a macro, and it's executed a little bit differently. You then have a number of statements, and then you say end sub. Okay, and macros are also, they're not inserted into spreadsheets, they're executed, so which means you run them. And we're going to run macros by either going into the developer tab and then going to macro, or you can hit Alt F8 and select a macro to run. Now you can also attach a macro to an art object, and we're going to do that in a minute. So here's a little macro I've written. This macro is called countdown 5000. So I say sub countdown 5000 open close bracket, and I have a simple loop here for I equal 1 to 5000 next I. So what's going to happen is this statement right here is going to be executed 5,000 times as I goes from 1 to 5,000. And the executable statement here is cells 3, 4. Now in VBA, the cells object refers to the row and column index of the current open worksheet. So cells 3, 4 refers to the third row, fourth column. In other words, D3, cell D3 in the open current workbook. So I'm going to set I equal to 1 first. Cells 3, 4, whatever is in D3 is going to take on the value of 5,000 minus 1, or 4,999. Next I'm going to loop back up, set I equal to 2. D3 is now going to also have take a new value of 5,000 minus 2. 4,998. So this statement here is going to be executed 5,000 times, and this cell D3 or cells 3, 4 is going to count down from 4,999 down to 0. So I'm going to grab that macro. I'm going to put it in Excel. Now I've already done that for you, so all we need to do here is hit Alt F11. Notice I'm going to click on Module 1, and there it is, sub countdown. So notice that this is just a normal module in which I can write functions. However, in this one, I happen to have 2 macros written. Now to execute those macros, I'm going to go back to Excel, and I can either go to the Developer tab and hit Macro and double click on Countdown 5000 or hit Run. Or I can hit Alt F8 and select Countdown 5000 or hit Run. However, the coolest way to run macros is to create an art object. I'm just going to insert any random art object. So I'll just pick some shapes. I'll go with let's go with a star. I'm going to insert that shape into Excel. Let me move it over here. I'm going to then right-click on that shape and assign macro, and I'm going to assign countdown 5000, hit OK. Notice this is right here, this D3 is cell 3, 4. Notice in the top left-hand corner, it's the third row, fourth column. Now when I click on my star, this is my countdown. Notice while it's counting down, notice every time it pastes a number in this cell, these portfolio values change. because when you have automatic recalc on, every Excel spreadsheet operation will automatically do a recalc. So that's how I can run this macro. So let's move on in our next topic, and we'll talk about how to use that information about macros and that technique to calculate the VAR, simulated VAR of a portfolio.